Matt DiBenedetto has had a roller coaster of a journey through NASCAR. He's raced for some small teams. He's raced for one of the most historic teams in the sport. In 2023, and after years of competition and coming oh so close to winning, DiBenedetto finally captured his first National Touring Series trophy in the Truck Series at Talladega. This year, he's teamed up with Viking Motorsports and is competing in the Xfinity Series for the first time since 2019. I sat down with the 32-year-old and we talked about how he landed his current ride and what his plans are for the future, but we also went back in time to the very beginning and talked about all the ups and downs he's experienced, including his relationship with the fans and that close call with Denny Hamlin at Bristol. When listening to him, it's clear the driver has been humbled by it all and is just grateful for the opportunity he has every time he gets to put on the helmet. I'd like to welcome to the channel, Matt DiBenedetto. Hey, Matt, appreciate you joining me today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Kyle. Appreciate it.
Yeah, so I just kind of want to talk about where you are currently with your ride in the Xfinity Series with Viking Motorsports. But before we talk about that, I kind of want to go back in time and just kind of look at back at your career, a little journey through your career. So coming up through the ranks, you get up to the Cup Series and you've been here, for, I guess it was what, 2016? Is that when you got there?
2015.
2015.
Yep.
So when I look at your career, you're like that kind of guy that just keeps grinding and finding rides and finding the funding to get rides, because we know how critical it is in NASCAR to find sponsors. So kind of talk to me about the journey of finding sponsors through the years and allowing yourself to do something your passion for all these years.
Yeah, man, I've been blessed beyond measure, that's for sure. And it's been a roller coaster is the only way that I could describe my, career and path and trajectory to get to, the Cup Series and all that I've been fortunate to do in this sport. I grew up racing with, none of my family was involved in NASCAR or anything or racing in general. I'm first generation racer. I just rode four wheelers, dirt bikes, loved loved being wide open on anything that I could be. So, um, but anyways, yeah, man, once it turned more serious, moved across country and realized what we were up against. And gosh, like you said, just kept on grinding. And I think, it was passed down from my family. We just us the Benedettos are really stubborn. So that kind of worked worked in my favor, just of being super persistent and very stubborn. And like you said, having a great fan support behind me, and kind of fans have been part of the journey and having that support. And that's led to, having sponsors to be behind me and building good relationships there. And then being in the Cup Series for a number of years and just kind of climbing the ladder, I guess, you could call it kind of the old school way, which has been really neat. And it's taught me a tremendous amount, not only in racing, but it's really taught me a tremendous amount in life as a whole. Having to grind at it and and experience small team stuff, big team stuff, and everything in between, and it's given me good perspective.
Yeah, so you talked about your fan support, and I think you've been one of the, not one of the few, but you've been one of the drivers who's really used social media to your advantage. So kind of talk to me about that and your strategy behind it. I know there for a time you were using Reddit, trying to get the community on Reddit to get you voted into All-Star race. So kind of talk to me about how you've used social media as a strategy, which obviously in today's day and age is a big way to develop a fan following.
Yeah, like you said, I was, on Reddit. I still am on there. I just enjoy the content and the platform in
Right.
general. I don't, not as interacting as much as I used to on there. I think I'm just not on my phone as much in general. But yeah, and then social media as a whole, or in that community on Reddit, it's just like it's so unique and so cool. So thankful for all that group on there. And then social media as a whole, my approach to it all, always and still today, is that I want people to feel like they're not following me. I want people to feel like they're friends with me. Just like if I had a personal Facebook where I have, a couple hundred friends, I want to pretty much just share and do the same stuff, and just
Right.
share. Um, Not always, as a fan, and even me, I mean, I'm a race fan. I love it.
Sure.
It's in my blood. And I love seeing drivers when they share, of course, the racing side and the behind the scenes and what all goes into that, but also love just knowing about people, and knowing who they are as a person and, their spouses, because, their wives may not get enough credit of all the work that they put in and the support behind the scenes. And, I like knowing a lot of the behind the scenes and, more about a driver's personal life, and what makes them who they are. So that's kind of always driven me to just enjoy sharing more personal stuff, more of the personal side of our lives behind the scenes, and not only just at the racetrack. And I think it's just built a really cool relationship with the fans through that.
Sure. And, you talk about the relationship with the fans. I was just kind of going back through your history, and there was one relationship. I think you were looking for a sponsor, and I think it was Denny Hamlin and Kevin Harvick kind of jumped in to try to get some funding. And eventually, I think you got some kind of Zynga poker sponsorship. But Denny Hamlin and you have a relationship that I thought was really interesting based on that one race at Bristol. And he knows he's won a lot of races and he knew how important that race was for you to win. But he's a competitor. He has a sponsors. He has a team. He had to go out and win. So kind of talk to me about that one particular race, how you were so close to tasting victory. And then you got beat by one of the greatest all time. I mean, he's up to, I think, 54 or 55 wins now. So, and then he says after the race, I felt bad. I'm sorry that I won. But I mean, that was really a unique experience to hear him say that. So talk to me kind of about that one specific race.
Yeah, man, that was a crazy, gosh, just a crazy memory. That was so, life changing as a whole. Because yeah, that was funny when I heard that he said, I'm sorry, and something about when I'm like, bro, we're competitors, man. You should be. I always say, I joke. I'm like, I'd put my grandmother in the wall to win a race. We do anything to win. So, but no, that was an interesting race. Obviously, I was being replaced by Christopher Bell as he was in the Toyota pipeline, and they had commitments and such to him. So it's nothing personal, just part of
Right.
the development, how things worked out and such. So, and I didn't have funding behind me at the time, so it was, I wasn't going to be returning the 95. And it was a growing team, a family team with the Levine family racing. And we really were improving that team a lot throughout the year and just kept getting it better and better with the support of Toyota and everybody that was really helping to grow that team. My crew chief, Mike Wheeler, that was a great, a really great team we had been building. And that race was, we had a rocket ship for a race car and we had that race covered. And then I was lapping. It was such, you couldn't have scripted it any crazier. The circumstances with Ryan Newman, we were lapping him. And if we won that race, it would have bumped him out of the playoffs and it would have put us in. And we were lapping him, and he knew it. He's no dummy. He knew, and he was kind of blocking, and he stuffed us in the fence. And it knocked a hole in my nose and it killed the handling of my car, and it ended up costing us the win, because I got really tight and Denny Hamlin was able to run us down after that. And then he ended up winning. We finished second. But it's crazy though, that I was very disappointed, but even those odd circumstances, it still led to, like you said, some neat relationships, great relationships in the garage with Harvick, Denny Hamlin, guys I have tremendous respect for. And it was cool to get the support of those folks. And we got Zynga Poker as a sponsor, and it actually helped, helped her. Or I think that may have been the year prior. I can't remember. My timeline's mixed up. But either way, it led to some great rally and great help behind us, great relationships in the garage. And, those guys just really helped me to, um, that was a big shift in time in my career where I feel like I was always kind of in the underdog situation. But it was an important time in my life to shift my mindset to more of a little bit of a killer mindset, winning mindset, having that winning mindset, not viewing myself as an underdog anymore, because I'd, been in the sport a while and was, um, it was neat to accomplish those things.
Yeah. So skipping forward to 2020 and 2021 with the Wood brothers, and I look at your numbers, 20 top tens and 6 top fives. So, I mean, you were really pretty solid. You made the playoffs that first year, right? And then you didn't in the second year. So what was the turning point there? Because it seems like, 2 years is kind of short, I guess, but to have an opportunity to go a third year and maybe, find that win, a trip to victory lane in the Cup Series, was there ever a real turning point? Because that was, the pinnacle, and now you've kind of dropped down. So I'm just curious if there was anything specific in those final 2 years, that changed that didn't allow you to continue in the Cup Series.
I think a lot of things come down to funding and sponsorship and such, and yeah, I'd found out that Harrison Burton was coming in, and Harrison's a good friend, and the Burton family are great friends of mine. So,
Right.
so yeah, I was super bummed, of course, to not be returning to the 21, because the Woods are still like family to me. And Nancy
Right.
Wood was a big influence on my life, on my faith journey, on many things. So it was, it more like hurt my heart in many ways because I just, love driving that 21. But either way, looking back, just I think if I was going back in time and I had kind of the mindset and perspective and understanding that I do now, I think I would have been. I think nowadays, especially because I've dug into my, faith and my beliefs and things a lot more because of the roller coaster and such that I've been through in the sport. I think, as Michael McDowell told me once, he said, as I was kind of going down a different path and exploring, my faith and things after some trials and tough times in life, he's like, hey, your highs are going to be less high and your lows are going to be less low. And that's the truest thing that I've heard. So if I was kind of going back, almost 33-year-old Matt, and going back in time to that time when I wasn't returning to the 21, and it's tough too, because it was when we had just made some changes in the team, and
Right.
and we were really rocking and rolling. The team was, really, we were, running top five, top 10, and the team really felt like it was falling into its flow,
Mhm.
kind of like the 95, and then
Right.
it's like, dang, I'm not returning. But
Right.
anyways, what I'm getting at, if I went back in time, I probably I would have been more focused on being grateful for the time there, and knowing that I still have a long career ahead, and I wouldn't have focused so much on the sadness or the, oh, poor me, I'm not returning to the 21. It's really important to have a winning, like, killer mindset in all you do, and knowing that everything works out the way that it's supposed to, in life. And I would have been more enthusiastic and more just appreciative and grateful and more positive, not so much like, oh, I'm bummed I'm not returning to 21. I would have been more like, man, hate I'm not returning to the 21, but gosh, so cool that I got to drive there, and I'm excited for looking forward to what's next.
So what was next was you went to the Truck Series and you got your first win in the Truck Series. So, I mean, your first win in the NASCAR Touring Series. So tell me about that win and obviously the boost of confidence, knowing after all these years of grinding, you finally made your first trip to victory lane. Tell me what that was like.
Yeah, in the Cup Series, I finished every position in the whole field from second to 40th, just other than first. And we've had four of them probably that we could have won, and
Right.
been in position to win. But again, it's all going to fall your way. But either way, it was neat to get that win, and the first win for Rackley War Racing. Smaller team out of Nashville, growing team, who are great guys. And so that was really rewarding to finally, have get that trophy. And I got that big old 80 pound trophy or whatever it is in my office, and that was a cool one. It was just relieving. It was just like, oh, finally, checking that off. So that was super relieving. And then, I think, but obviously is a big change going to the Truck Series, and then
Right.
obviously now racing the Xfinity Series. Very, very different trajectory. But I'm super thankful for it, because, man, I'm going to be honest with you. I think maybe some of it's just age, and coupled with the experience and roller coaster of, all that I've been fortunate to go through in the sport. That now, man, I just have one, a much more focused, peaceful, winning mindset. But two, I walk with a lot more joy. Like I go to the racetrack just appreciating the little things a lot more than I used to. My identity's not so rooted in like, oh my gosh, my whole life depends on this race, and you get all the nerves and emotions. Now I obviously we're competitors, man. I don't care if I'm running a go kart. I have to win, and I'll wreck people to win the thing. Where that's just in our blood. But sometimes that can make us our own worst enemy because I've always been guilty of forgetting to just be like, man, this is fun. I need to appreciate the fact of going to these racetracks, realizing what I'm doing for a living. And so now I think what these last few years have taught me is just to have a winning mindset in all I do, but also to enjoy every little bit of it.
So you've mentioned grateful and humble multiple times. So obviously you're grateful by the opportunity to race with Viking Motorsports this year. So kind of tell me how that all came together and, kind of what your goals are now that you are in that ride for the rest of the year.
Yeah, man, they're an awesome team. Don Thackett, the owner, and Suzanne alongside him, they are owners of the team, and what wonderful people. They came in as a sponsor with SciAps. They own SciAps, the company, and they sponsor Ryan Sieg, and they've come into the sport as a sponsor and fell in love with it, and they are all in. They wanted to start their own race team in Viking Motorsports, and it started, this year as with intention of just being part time, but then it grew to us being joining forces, and then it quickly turned into, man, let's kind of put this together, even though it's last second. Let's run this thing full time because their plans are not just for this year, for 2024. They're all in this sport, and they want to I'm excited that we've joined forces to be able to build this team together because they are 100% all in. So I'm just excited to be a part of helping to grow this team and make this team into what I know that it can be and will continue to be, is going to be a playoff contending, really good team. Where I think it's kind of like starting a business. Right now we're a bit at the ground level, but we are quickly on the right track to keep on growing and expanding this team. And man, they're wonderful people, and I'm just super pumped to be a part of it. It's going to be a lot of fun building this deal.
So last question, Matt. You've talked about your journey, and it sounds like obviously you've got a good setup going with you at Viking. So can you see yourself staying at Viking for years and just, like you said, being content and grateful just to continue racing and appreciating the sport that you love so much? Or do you still aspire to get to the Cup Series, or is that not part of the plan?
Yeah, I think, man, I think I don't really try and control it as much as I used to, or I think I'm just more at peace at it with it and enjoying it. But to answer your question, what I see is Dawn, Suzanne, and the group at Viking Motorsports. What I see right in front of me is a really, really, really hungry, all-in group that's like insanely committed,
Right.
to the sport, and that shows, through their sponsorship in the sport and through Viking Motorsports, what their plans are, what all of our talks are. So I have a very hungry group around me that wants to continue to build a really good Xfinity Series program. So to answer your question, I'm pretty darn happy being a part of Viking Motorsports, and I'm an all-in kind of personality to a fault many times, but when I have a group, an owner that believes in me 100%, and I believe in them 100%, that usually is a recipe for a lot of success when you really believe in each other and you're of one mind with one goal, the same vision, and building the same thing. So I am 100% all in and committed to this team to help grow and build the vision here and to make this into a playoff contending really good team. And it's been a lot of fun. The Xfinity Series is super, super fun too. The cars are personally my favorite to drive because they're slick. They don't have a lot of grip. I think they reward kind of that dirt racer background and such. So I really enjoy the series.
Yeah, and I've heard multiple times over the last couple of weeks. I think it was Kyle Busch on Saturday talked about how it's so much more fun to drive the Xfinity Series cars than the Cup cars. So sounds like you're in a good ride and you're having a good time. So that's good. Matt, I really appreciate you joining me. I wish you the best of luck this coming weekend at Portland and the rest of the season. It's been a real pleasure talking to you. Wish you the best of luck.
Yeah, you too. Thanks, Kyle. I appreciate it, man.